Don't stop, we're in luck now. Don't stop, there's so much to be found. We can find paradise. All we have to do is go, go free your soul. Dragon Soul.
Welcome back. It's been a while, hasn't it? If you count a day as a while. Anyway, we're doing something a little different today because instead of going forward to Return of Cooler, which I'm pretty sure you were all probably expecting to, well, if you didn't watch the video I did last time, which apparently you didn't because that one only has 14 views for whatever reason. Anyway, my complaining aside, today we're going to go back a little bit. Because instead of reviewing the next movie in the franchise, we're going to pump the brakes and we're going to talk about one of the specials. And the specials are actually canon, so yeah, they're at an advantage already compared to most of the movies, so. But that doesn't mean they're all perfect either. It is what it is, right? What's up? What's happening? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Animation Station. I'm going to touch the animation, including Super Saiyans fighting aliens for the safety of the Earth. Yeah, I know. I'm still working on it. And today we're talking about Bardock, father of Goku. Super long preamble. It's now super long and now finished. And now we will start the review. Sorry, I felt like I had to do a little bit of a lead up to it anyway, because yeah, we're in for another fantastic entry in the series. Bardock, Father of Goku, it's the first one that we're looking at for this month that's actually canon to the main series timeline lore, so now you won't have to hear me complain about, for like the third or fourth time, like, the biggest problem with this movie is that it's non-canon, so it can't fully, you know, yada yada yada, you know? You won't have to hear me complain about that today, so you can breathe a sigh of relief, not talking about that. Not to mention, a lot of the voice casts in here, brand new. So, we'll talk about that as well. Also, before I start, yes, I do know in my Cooler's Revenge review I forgot to discuss the actual voice actors of Cooler Squadron, and I ended up going off on a little tangent about how Bulma was not in the previous movie. I don't know, man. It's just what happens. Like, there's literally no script when I do these videos. It's just me reading off summaries online and then my written review that I already posted, so yeah. If I end up doing something like that again, I apologize. And I mean, no disrespect to the voice actors from Cooler Squad from Cooler's Revenge. I just ended up getting sidetracked. I mean, no disrespect towards them, and they all did a great job. Okay, now super long preamble is super long and now finished. Let's get to the review. Let's start with the summary. And this one's pretty lengthy, so yeah, let's begin. This special is a story of Bardock, a low-class Saiyan warrior. At the outset of the story, his son Kakarot, or Goku as we all know him, having just been born on planet Vegeta, is being prepared to be sent to Earth in order to destroy all life on the planet, because that's what Saiyans do after they're born. They're immediately sent to a low-level planet to, you know, destroy it, kill the people, you know, help out the Frieza Empire, pretty much. Meanwhile, Bardock and his crew are on an assignment to exterminate all life forms of planet Kanassa. After the planet is seemingly devoid of all life, Bardock and crew rest up and celebrate their victory until one remaining warrior catches him off guard and decides to give him the gift of seeing visions of the future. This gives him the ability to see the destruction of planet Vegeta and almost the entire Saiyan race dying along with it, at the hands of their master, Frieza. He also sees the salvation of the planet Earth through his son Kakarot. So, yeah, it's a little bit weird they gave him psychic powers, but it also kind of makes sense in the actual, you know, world of Dragon Ball, because they've done crazy weird stuff like this before. So, it's not that big of a problem. The prediction becomes reality when Frieza decides to destroy the entire Saiyan race. Within Frieza's spaceship, Frieza is being briefed by his top two henchmen, Zarbon and Dodoria. We'll talk more about them when we get to the Frieza saga. Or Namek saga, whatever. It's two different names for just one whole saga for some reason, I don't know. In regards to the occurrences in their routine interplanetary galactic trade and conquering, recent news reveals that the Saiyan's strength constantly grows after each battle. Zarbon informs Frieza that a band of low-class Saiyans have taken over Kanasa in just a few days. Dodoria states that the job to take Kanasa had been in the pool for months and that not even Frieza's elite team squadrons could take it so easily. Frieza, Zarbon, and Dodoria contemplate the fate of the Saiyans due to the growing power of the species and decide to take action in order to avoid repercussions. And to quote Frieza from way later in this timeline, from DBS Broly, it's best to put a sleeping beast down before it can be awakened. That's pretty much his philosophy about why he does what he does. As the Saiyans might pose a great threat to them in the future, which they do, spoiler alert, Zarbon advises Frieza to eliminate the growing threat before it poses a greater problem. Dodoria and his elite fighters are ordered to eradicate Bardock and his team, as they are currently the strongest Saiyans on Vegeta that have been, aside from the King himself. Which, it's a bit weird that we don't see King Vegeta anywhere here, considering the fact he's a pretty pivotal part of this timeline and of this specific part. But that gets fixed later on with DBS Broly, which means, yes, I know this also means that this is also technically non-canon, but I'm still calling it canon, because the events of this special will still happen. They just switch a few things around. Like, for example, in this special specifically, Goku was sent out by the people that always send the same babies out to the other planets, whereas in DBS Broly, in an homage to Superman, Bardock and Guinea send him off on their own terms. But the stuff that happens with Bardock does still happen. So, it's not entirely not canon, it's still canon. It just swapped a few things around. So, that's the explanation there. Bardock dismisses the visions he had and goes to join his team on planet Meat. Yeah, I think the writer might have fallen asleep on his keyboard that day. I'm kidding. Don't get mad, it's a joke. But soon discovers his friends are all dead. Bardock's team was massacred by Frieza's henchmen, Dodoria, and his elites. He battles the ones responsible and defeats them all, but is easily overwhelmed by a single mouth blast from Dodoria, trying to sell us, how powerful Dodoria really is. Until the Frieza saga, where he gets absolutely manhandled by Vegeta, but that's a discussion for another day. He is left severely injured and bloody, but manages to make it back to planet Vegeta, passing his son along the way, who has been sent to Earth. Though Bardock attempts to convey the danger that they are all in to the other Saiyans, since he has now realized that Frieza is going to destroy them all, everyone laughs at his claim. However, the Saiyans are scared when Bardock yells at them for their disbelief, and Bardock alone begins one final assault against Frieza. Bardock's a badass, plain and simple. He doesn't care what's about to happen. He just knows that he needs to try and stop it by any means necessary. And, well, since this is the beginning of pretty much everything in Dragon Ball, it kind of doesn't work. It's tragic, but it's the way that events have to unfold in order for other events to take place. But Bardock is a badass. I love just watching his one final assault against these soldiers. He's fighting a losing battle, and if you know your Dragon Ball lore, you know he's fighting a losing battle. But he still goes out there, and he still gives it his all to try and defend his race from destruction. There's a whole bunch of these warriors just all around the outside of the planet. But he does not give a single damn. He goes up there, he kicks all their asses, and then screams at Frieza to come out and fight him. showing that, well, the Saiyan race are fighters to the bitter end. So, yeah, Bardock is a fan favorite character for a very good reason. Though there is one thing about him that I'm going to complain about when we get to my written review, because it's a little thing that I specifically noticed in this most recent rewatch. But let's finish the summary first. During the assault, he succeeds in killing many of Frieza's minor soldiers to such an extent that Frieza, witnessing Bardock's actions with barely contained fury, orders for Zarbon to prepare his hoverpod for liftoff. Zarbon expresses confusion on why Frieza would want to leave the ship, although Frieza then subtly threatens Zarbon for questioning his orders, with Zarbon intimidated by his boss, promptly making preparations. Frieza then emerges as one of Frieza's soldiers puts Bardock into a headlock, with the soldier releasing him only for Bardock to give a speech on how the Saiyans are free from the tyrant, and then sending the final spirit cannon to Frieza himself in a bid to avenge all those they killed in the tyrant's name, and in the Japanese version voices an interest in taking over the Frieza Force. Okay, that seems a little out of character, but whatever. I didn't think he'd try to take the whole Force over, but what do I know? But, yeah, that, again, it's not actually called Final Spirit Cannon. The name comes from its actual name when you play as the character in the video games. That's where most of the names of these attacks from all these minor characters come from. Like, if it's not said in the show, the name comes from one of the video games. Or from the manga. It depends. Bardock seems about to change the future via his actions. However, Frieza counters the attack with his supernova. Well, I thought it was called Death Ball, and then Cooler's was called Supernova, but I digress. Which kills Bardock, many of his soldiers, and destroys Planet Vegeta itself. All while uttering a maniacal laugh. As he is dying, Bardock sees one more vision of the future, his son Kakarot facing Frieza on Planet Namek. Being assured that Kakarot would be the one to kill Frieza, Bardock gives a small smile as he disintegrates along with the planet. As the planet is on the verge of blowing up, Frieza continues laughing at its destruction, as well as telling Dodoria and Zarbon to watch the beautiful fireworks. After his demise, Bardock wishes his son Kakarot to take care. At the same moment, Kakarot, who's still in the space pod, wakes up, and then the last thing you see of Bardock is that bloody bandana he had on his head, and you just see it float through space. Pretty much signaling that, yeah, Bardock is for sure dead. Like, there's no pussyfooting around it. He is dead. But he died fighting for what he believed was right. Which, yes, kind of clashes with his character a bit. We'll get to that when we get to that. But it's still a really nice moment. Elsewhere, having just completed an assignment on a far-off world, Vegeta, yes, Kid Vegeta's in this special, Vegeta is informed of his homeworld's destruction. His pride keeps him from expressing his shock, and he remains outwardly emotionless. Soon after, Kakarot's space pod touches down on Earth, where he is found by an elderly man named Gohan, and giggles happily in the old man's arms. Gohan then decides to care for the boy as his own grandson and renames him Goku. The film ends in a montage of Goku's many heroic deeds on Earth, leading up to his battle with Frieza, which is when this was released. This was released during the Namek saga. Like, halfway through the saga, they released this special to give more context to the Goku versus Frieza fight that happens in that saga. Smart move on their part, honestly. So yeah, that's the story of episode of Bardock. Well, not episode, but Bardock, father of Goku. I'm sorry, I got mixed up there. The story's great. It's very well done. It's dark. It's gritty. It's tragic, but it leaves a silver lining at the end. And it does a good job explaining how all the characters got to where they were. Like, how Vegeta was on this other planet with Nappa, as we see them in the Saiyan saga, on the planet, I believe it was Arlia. And then also how Goku came to Earth and became, the character that we meet in the original Dragon Ball. The little monkey kid with the power pole and the, that whole story. So, yeah, it's a great story. They did a great job bridging that little unknown gap of where Goku and Vegeta's origins came from. And they did a great job picking the perfect time to release it because Goku was about to be the final Saiyan standing against Frieza for his entire race and everything the Tyrant's ever done. So, yeah, it definitely adds a lot more context to that iconic Goku versus Frieza fight. So, yeah, it's a great story. It's sad, it's tragic, and it's brutal as hell, but it's a great story. Great, great story. We even get a little bit of a redub of it at the beginning of DBZ Kai. In the very first episode, we get a little bit of redub of that iconic moment where Bardock stands up to Frieza. So, yeah. And like I said, DBS Broly didn't completely make this non-canon, it just switched a few events around. Outside of that, it's the same thing. So, it's still canon, they just changed a few events. Alright, now for the voice cast. And this one's mostly new, there's only a few we have to already talk about. First up is Bardock. He's voiced by Sonny Strait, the same guy that voices Krillin. He does a great job. Like I have my problems with Bardock's characterization in the English dub, but he does a great job with the actual voice acting. Then you have Frieza, who in this one's voiced by Linda Young, because the late great Chris Ayres, may he rest in peace, has not come into the series yet at this point. So it's still Linda Young doing the voice, just like in the original dub of Z. And she does a great job. Like, she does a really great job. And then, of course, you have Goku, who's voiced by Stephanie Dodoni as a baby, which is mainly just him crying. And then a little bit of Sean Schemmel as an adult. I especially love the scene. I'm gonna veer off of it because I want to talk about this. I especially love the scene of where Goku in the future is talking to Bardock through one of his visions. Like, that's a really, really nice scene. Again, voice acting, great job. Then you have Chris Forbes voicing Dodoria. He does fine. Dodoria is very much a side character in this story. Same with Zarbon, voiced by Christopher Sabat, the same guy that voices Vegeta. And Piccolo, and Yamcha, and Shenron. Christopher Sabat pretty much voices a bunch of the main side characters. And then you have Bardock's crew. You have Tora, voiced by Mike McFarlane, he does a good job. Linda Young also voices Fasha, she does a great job. Shugesh, voiced by Chris Rager, does a good job. Damian Clark voices Borgos, does a great job. And Christopher Sabat voices Kid Vegeta. Seriously, the man's probably one of the most talented voice actors you will ever meet. And then you have Nappa, who's voiced by Christopher Sabat in the original version, and then the remastered cut is voiced by Phil Parsons. They both do a good job. Then Plant Thor, voiced by Damian Clark, does a good job. Malaka, voiced by Mark Britton in the original, and Chris Casson in the remaster, does a good job. Tulo, voiced by Kent Williams, does a good job. Kyle Herbert does a great job as the narrator in the remaster version, and then Dale D. Kelly is the narrator in the original version. And if you're wondering why I keep saying remastered version, it's because this got released as a remastered 2-pack with History of Trunks. So they switched a few things around when they remastered it. Obviously taking out the licensed music, just like they did with the remastered versions of all the movies that come in the 3 movie collections. So, yeah. And then for some of the background Saiyans, you have Chris Rager, John Bergmeyer, Seely Delgadlo? I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Justin Cook, Bart Meyer, and Kent Williams. Then you have Kent Williams as the Kanassan commander, John Bergmeyer as Demetrius, Horned Gang Leader, voiced by Kyle Herbert, and then you finally have Grandpa Gohan, voiced again by Christopher Sabat. Because the man pretty much voices everyone. No offense to Chris Sabat, he does a great job, but it's just something weird to note. And as for the original music that was in this before they took it out. Superstar by Saliva, Good Times Are Over by Caviar, Makes No Difference by Sum 41 in the original ending, and then American Hi-Fi, A Bigger Mood in the remastered ending. I do love the song that plays in the end credits. The Japanese one, not the licensed song. It's really, really good. I really enjoy it. Do I want to go into trivia? Yeah, sure, why not? Because why not? This is already a long review as is, so might as well just go all in. Although it bears the Dragon Ball Z logo and opening Bardock Father Goku is a prequel to Dragon Ball, the special takes place 12 years before the events of the Pilaf saga. So that's where it falls in the timeline for any of you that were getting confused. The original Japanese poster for the special, as seen in the above info box, appears to be flipped, as Bardock is wearing his scouter on the right side of his face instead of the left, and Goku sports his kanji on the front right instead of the front left. Why it's flipped, I don't know. In the Funimation dub's plot, Frieza apparently wishes to capture Kanasa, because those who dwell there develop psychic powers. However, in the original story, Bardock's crew have no idea why Frieza sent them there. Yeah, the dub has a few problems, but it's not anything like destructive or completely ruins the movie or anything like that. In the special, it is shown that Bardock fights his way through Frieza's men to get to Frieza himself. However, in the anime, when Frieza speaks of the events in a flashback, it appears the men Bardock fought in the special were actually with him on an attack against Frieza due to a dubbing error on Funimation's part. Whoops. Vegeta is shown to have been on a far-off world at the time Planet Vegeta is destroyed, whereas in an episode of Dragon Ball Z reveals Vegeta is said and shown to have been on Frieza's spaceship at the time of Planet Vegeta's destruction. Again, probably a dubbing error. It is what it is. This is the one I gotta talk about. King Vegeta does not appear in this movie, despite the fact that he was killed in the same time period. Why? You already showed him in the anime. Why not show him in the actual special? That part's just weird to me. At the end of the special, Baby Goku is shown to already be the happy and loving boy he is in Dragon Ball when Gohan finds him, despite the fact it has already been established in an episode of Z that Goku displayed tendencies typical of infant Saiyans and did not lose them until he hit his head. In addition, Grandpa Gohan finds Goku a small distance from his pod during the day, while in reunions, it was implied he was found near his pod during the night. Strangely, the special actually earlier features the same scene from reunions when Bardock is seeing visions of Goku's future. Why there's so many errors, I don't know. In one of Bardock's final premonitions before his death, he sees Goku standing face to face with First Form Frieza. Goku never met Frieza in his first form. It can be argued that Bardock only knows of Frieza in his first form. As Frieza stated, no one has seen his final form or any of his other forms beyond his first form. So Bardock would have no idea what it would look like, which is why he sees Goku staring down his first form. Bardock's visions are also somewhat symbolic rather than objective, meaning they usually don't have to look exactly like they would have transpired. However, as this special was aired before Goku took on Frieza in the manga, it can be inferred that Toei didn't know how things would go down. Goku faces First Form Frieza on the cover of Volume 23 of the manga. It is also noted that Goku actually first met Frieza in his first form after he resurrected him after he was resurrected by the remnants of his crew in DBZ Resurrection F, and in turn the Golden Frieza saga of Dragon Ball Super, which we're not going to talk about, because we know those movie recap arcs are garbage, and I'm not going to waste my time on them when I can already just talk about Battle of Gods and Resurrection F, okay? That's why I'm not talking about them, and it's because I'm trying to stay positive this month, okay? I don't want to go on giant rants almost every single video. So I'm not talking about the Golden Frieza saga, and I'm not talking about the Battle of Gods saga. We're reviewing Battle of Gods and Resurrection F, the movies, and leaving it at that, okay? So no Episode 5 memes will be allowed here. The scene where Goku's space pod approaches Earth shows an Earth nearly identical to the real-world Earth, with North and South America clearly visible. Clips from this special were reused for the beginning of Dragon Ball Z Cooler's Revenge, as well as certain episodes of the anime. In Dragon Ball Z Kai, the first episode used the footage of the special in the very beginning of the episode, and yep, I already talked about how they redubbed it, so. Say what you want about Kai, I think it has a better dub. Just my personal opinion. In the original American DVD release with subtitles, Bardock's name was spelled as Bardock. It has been changed to the more familiar Bardock in all recent DVD releases of the special. However, other movies released as double features still use the Bardock spelling. Weird. Akira Toriyama has stated that this is his favorite movie, and that it was the kind of story he absolutely wouldn't draw. That's cool. One of the eye-catching sequences of the special features a bunch of Saiyans in the background. Some of these Saiyans are actually rough sketches of Bardock's team that were done prior to the special's release, and many of them were changed drastically for the final special. So in other words, all the Saiyans in the background were a lot of different concept designs for Bardock's crew during the special's actual development. That's interesting. That's really interesting, actually. While traveling to planet Vegeta to destroy it, Frieza says that it is as red as a blood ruby. Blood rubies were a major part of the plot of the movie, Dragon Ball Curse of the Blood movies. Blood rubies, I can't talk today. At the end of this movie, Shenron removes all of the blood rubies from Earth, and it is unknown what happened to them after this. They went off into irrelevance. Just leave it at that. This was where the music from Tree of Might was first heard outside of the movies. Although this wasn't dubbed in Filipino English, though clips from this special were used in their dub of Movie 5, there was a cover of the ending theme in their language. Alright then. So that's the extra trivia for episode of for Bardock, Father of Goku. I keep getting confused, I'm sorry. For Bardock, Father of Goku. So, yeah. Strong story. I actually enjoyed looking up all that trivia. And of course, like I said, it's canon for once, which is nice considering the fact that everything we've looked at so far for this marathon have all been non-canon one-off stories. So, yeah. Nice little change of pace. Alright, now we can get to the written review. And my one negative with the movie, which I'll talk about after I get through the positives. So, here we go. Great action, dark gritty storytelling, fascinating new characters, superb voice acting, enjoyably brutal kills, sharp writing, strong music, great animation, cool designs, a tragic ending, good pacing, solid runtime, and best of all, it's actually canon, allowing for a greater emphasis on world building and adding more depth to the main series lore. Its one and only flaw is Bardock's confusing characterization, specifically in the Funimation English dub. In the original Japanese version, he's a stone-cold killer who takes pride in the work that he and his team do all the way up to his bitter end. But in the dub, he's more framed as a murderer-turned-hero who tragically fails in his conquest. Much like Vegeta at the end of the original Saiyan saga. This strange switch-up causes some pretty big confusion, and sells to make Bardock as a character a lot less of a merciless badass than he actually is. Not nearly as bad as an episode of Bardock, but still a pretty big flaw. Aside from that one issue, though, this special is fantastic. It's dark, intense, tragic, brutal, bloody, and expands on the main series lore. It's a great watch, and at only a little over 40 minutes long, it's definitely very rewatchable. Highly recommend it if you haven't seen it yet. So, yeah, that's my one flaw with the movie. Bardock's characterization in the English dub is a little bit screwed up. But, again, very minor flaw. It doesn't, destroy the experience or anything like that. It's just something worth pointing out. So, we've discussed the pros, the cons, the story, the summary, and I even gave you some bonus trivia along with the voice acting. So, I guess now we just jump to the final verdict. Overall, this is a fantastic special and easily among the best of the entire franchise. Again, it's dark, gritty, tragic, bloody, brutal, but it had to happen because it's an origin story of both Goku and Vegeta, and the fight that Bardock had to go through all the way up to his end. So, yeah, it's a damn good special. And if you, for some reason, have not seen it yet, what are you doing? Go watch it right now. But, again, just be aware that Bardock's characterization in the dub is a little bit confusing. But if you're watching the original Japanese version, you're not going to run into that problem. So, yeah. That's my thoughts on the episode of Bardock. Bardock, Father of Goku. Damn it. I keep getting mixed up. Bardock, Father of Goku. Final verdict before I mess it up for the 500th time in this video is going to be another 9 out of 10. This is a great special. Absolutely check it out if you haven't already. It's available on a 2-pack with History of Trunks. Another great special that we'll talk about when we get there. So, yeah, great special. Really enjoy it. And it's definitely a very pivotal piece of the Dragon Ball story. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for watching my review of Bardock, Father of Goku. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And stay tuned. We have a long way to go in this marathon. Not to mention, Fortnite NFL starts tomorrow too. So you'll have that live stream to look forward to. But not before we review the next movie first. So, I'll see you guys next time when we take a look at the next movie in the series, Return of Cooler. Another one people consider among one of the worst, but I completely disagree. Why do I disagree? Oh wait, is it actually Return? Yeah, it is Return of Cooler. So, why do I disagree? You'll find out tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Jad Small of Animation Station. And, oh yeah, this is also Vegeta's first movie, so we'll finally get to talk more about him. So, yep, I'll see you guys next time for Return to Cooler. Until then, thank you guys for watching. I'm Jad Small of Animation Station. Have a Super Saiyan day. That sounds so cheesy, I'm sorry. Stay Super Saiyan, have a fantastic day, and I'll see you guys next time for the next review. Peace.